Well, now for more comment on and analysis on the UK economy and those inflation figures that we just got out, here is Howard Shore. He is Executive Chairman and founder of the Shore Capital Group. Thank you very much indeed for coming in to join us today.
Pleasure.
Looking overall at what's happening at the UK economy at the moment, we've got a situation right now where we've had a lot of talk out of the unions, the trade union conference going on, talking about the austerity measures. The austerity measures that George Osborne is going to roll out, we don't even know the very details of them yet. But how do you see the state of the UK economy at the moment?
I think the new government started very well. They're doing the right things. We needed to cut back the deficit. They're trying to restore the confidence in the gilt market and sterling, which is vital for the medium term. And I think at least we have a political mandate to make these cuts. Many countries in Western Europe and indeed America don't have that opportunity. So I think we're doing the right things. Is
there more that the coalition could have done up to now to restore and reinvigorate the equity markets? Or do you think that there's not much more that could have been done in these early stages?
Well, there's only so much you can do in a limited time. We think this started really well. I think in due course they could look to reinvigorate the cult of equities. Clearly there's a debt gap for SMEs which is not likely to be filled in the short term. One really obvious opportunity is to sell off the stakes in RBS and Lloyds in a way where you get the private investor involved, perhaps at discounted prices, to reinvigorate the cult of equity ownership. And also perhaps give tax breaks to people who are providing equity to SMEs, as they do for venture capital trusts. So I think there's an opportunity to expand those sorts of tax breaks.
Now, there is limited access to bank loans. We're hearing that from an awful lot of small and medium-sized businesses at the moment. Is there opportunity now in the equity markets to try and get involved in allowing more liquidity for those businesses? Well,
certainly we provide some loans to SMEs through our venture capital trusts. We raise equity from investors and we provide secured lending to SMEs. And we've probably produced best-of-breed returns from those venture capital trusts. It's a good example of the way that you can actually find alternative routes to provide money to SMEs.
Overall, the investor confidence in the UK, we've seen the inflation figures still stubbornly high. We're getting word today that house prices are actually down. How do you see the future for the UK economy as it stands at the moment? Well,
we're obviously not insulated from the world, and emerging countries are still growing, generally speaking, quite well. The Western, more mature economies are stagnating. I think we're doing the right things within the UK. The issue is that there's got to be an adjustment. There was too high a level of debt. The personal debt is now also being transferred to the sovereign nations, and the sovereign nations need to cut back. And that will take time. There
is also, of course, a concern over consumer confidence, that we have to get consumers confident in the economy and able to spend again, and that doesn't look likely anytime soon. There have been a lot of concern that the austerity measures are going to be too severe. Are you a fan of what George Osborne is doing, or do you think perhaps the cuts might be too draconian?
I'm a big fan of what they've done so far. I think it's a really difficult judgment call. Who knows exactly what the right number is? I think the most important thing is to restore confidence in government finances, and that's being reflected in the fact that sterling has strengthened since the government had come into office. The gilt market is strong. There was some talk before the election that gilts could come under pressure. So I think they've done all the right things, and you can always, move the tiller around a little bit as things develop. But we're not immune from international forces, clearly.
Howard Shore, thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
Pleasure.